Some breaking news right now. The Pentagon has just announced $500 million in additional security aid for Ukraine. That money is expected to go to more air defense and armored vehicles. Now, this comes as the president of Belarus says Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin has officially arrived there in Belarus. Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday praised military and security forces in Russia for stopping what he says could have become a civil war between Prigozhin's Russian mercenaries and the Russian government. ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy joins me now. Mick, what do you think about this additional aid? How much will this help Ukraine?
So, Diana, I think it'll help a lot. By my count, this is the 41st package that we've approved. And it looks like, from what they have announced so far, it's specifically geared toward enhancing the Ukrainian counteroffensive efforts. It has about 30 infantry fighting vehicles, the Bradley. It has about 25 Stryker vehicles, which is also an armored troop carrier. A lot of ammunition for the long-range artillery, the HIMARS, and then a lot of other type of weapon systems that they would really need to punch through the Russian defensive lines and try to make some territorial gain. So they haven't announced everything that's in the package, but what they've announced so far really looks like it's geared toward this counteroffensive.
Now, UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace says Ukraine has recaptured more territory during its summer counteroffensive than Russia seized during its 2022 winter offensive. How significant is that? And overall, where does the fighting stand now?
So it is significant. I think it's important to point out because I think there was this false idea that there would be a massive gain by the Ukrainians during this counteroffensive. They are making incremental success. They are taking, by my estimation, around 120 square kilometers back. And it is a good thing. I mean, think about it. When this started, we thought that Kyiv would fall in a matter of days. And now the Ukrainians, over a year later, are on the offensive and Russia's losing ground. And I think that's what's most important. I think the Ukrainians are being smart, not overcommitting their force until they know they've actually found a seam or a gap in the Russian lines. And that's where they need to be.
Now, the president of Belarus says Wagner Group leader Yevgeny Prigozhin is in Belarus now. All the reports also say that Russia closed its investigation into the rebellion that he led over the weekend. So what do you think happens next with that whole situation?
Well, that is a good question. I think some would think that he's basically in Belarus. It's some form of house arrest. He can feel safe there, I guess, relatively. But maybe it's also to allow him to keep managing all overseas Wagner operations, which brings in a significant amount of revenue, not only to him, but likely to the Russian regime. So that might be something they don't want him to stop doing, but maybe they do want him to stop being in Ukraine and causing the type of strife between the MOD and the Wagner Group that he's been doing. So that might be where this happy medium, I guess, from President Putin's perspective is, but I don't think anybody knows yet.
Now, the president of Poland, in the midst of all this, has called for NATO to send more troops to its eastern border now that Prigozhin is in Belarus. What's the concern there, and what do you think this means for NATO?
So another potential factor for pushing Wagner into Belarus is that they could line up on the border of Belarus and Ukraine, which Ukrainians have always been concerned about, but didn't really think that the Belarusians would send their troops down into Ukraine as they've seen what's happened to Russia. But that doesn't mean the Wagner troops couldn't pose a threat up there. And that might be why Poland is concerned of that presence up there and the need to at least bolster support from the NATO allies in their country, which, of course, is the next bordering state past Ukraine from the Russian invasion.
All right, Mick Mulroy, always great to have your analysis, Mick. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.